out there started a bit earlier there, folks. Hello, and welcome to the Friday Frolic with me, a Festa 67's workshop, and it's just me at the moment, folks. So, yeah, his lordship can't make it real life, so I thought I would just wing it myself and see how we get on, folks. So, yeah, there you go. As per the thing up in the corner there, if you want to help me out and keep the channel alive and keep it coming, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/Festa67's workshop, or you can click the join button below or the $ in the super chat, and that'll give me a little bit of coin to help pay for all of this, folks. Right, talking of the groovy people, first things first, can you hear me and see me? Because at one point I thought I was going to put up a new link because YouTube wouldn't actually upload anything. So fingers crossed. Oh, Jeff's just put in AV is good. Thank you very kindly, Jeff. I can stop stressing now. Right, let's have a quick looky-loo in the chat. I ain't used to this, you know, getting a word in edgeways. This is quite good. Sophie's in. Just Sophie and Stormy says biscuits. Oh, yeah, I've got some on the bench here just to keep me going. Says, hi, Festa. Hi, everyone. Hi, Fox. Sophie says, I heard a rumour that someone has a secret stash of homemade biscuits, cakes, cookies and dark chocolate in under their bench. Right, I've got some names who that can be. First one is Bill, because, yeah, he's got so many benches you can hide anything in there. And PJ is a bit partial to a bit of crummage round the chops, and then suddenly looks up and goes, I ain't got no biscuits. So yeah, they're my candidates. And of course Marcus, behind certain areas of his beard is like an advent calendar. If you move the whiskers slightly, there's a couple of little doors, and hidden in there could be a little bit of nibble, bit of fudge, bit of this, bit of that. So there you go. Sophie says she's looking forward to tonight's frolic, and I'm saying I'm hoping you're fully satisfied after, because you know what it's like when I'm on my own. I can ramble on like a good one, and yeah. Festa says happy to hear that. That's me, of course. Says, just a case of practice makes perfect, and you have come a long way. Yes, because Sophie's getting into the dry brushing side of stuff now. And like I said, she's come a long way since she started her little painting journey and modelling journey. Says, lovely to see. Also says, I've also found that taking my time with one figure has helped me. Yeah, it's always best just to pace yourself. When I'm painting or doing streams, I have AC/DC back in black playing in the background. That sort of dun, 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 dun. Just going constantly in my logo, and it just slows me down and paces me. Otherwise, I get all speedy, and I make a lot of mistakes. So it works for me. Another good thing, Sophie, is audio book in your headphones. Just have something soothing going on in the background, or a nice mellow playlist on your iPod, and just shoot the breeze. That's what I do. Better not take a picture of me wearing gloves whilst painting, as it may upset or offend Fox. Don't worry about him. You do what's right for you, Sophie. Believe you me, it's your hobby. You do it already. Bill says, is it Friday already? Yes, it is, mate. It is that time of the week where your weekend rapidly goes downhill. Mind you, mine's going to go uphill in about an hour, because I should be able to watch motorbikes going round in circles, because it's Japanese MotoGP weekend. So I'll be giving it the old throttle and getting my knee down once the show ends. I was wondering whether Bill's bought any more benches, because obviously, you know, a couple of days has passed since we saw him, and that's enough time to get on the old interwebs and start buying benches. Hugh Gordon is in, says, morning fellow morons, how are we all doing? Fine and dandy, Hugh, lovely to see you in, mate, and I hope you're doing well as well up there, mate. It's been a bit stormy again, innit? So I hope you're doing all right. Bill says he hasn't bought any benches here, but Kit's on the other hand. Well, yeah, you've been buying stuff, ain't you? Come on. What you bought this week, folks? Don't forget bench, belly, beverage, biscuits, and all of that lot. And what have you bought as well? Because I'm nosy and I need to know everything. Marcus is in, the purveyor of the best beard in the world. Saying how to Cole Fox and all of chat. Marcus, how you doing, mate? Jeff Light is in, says I, Cole Fox and all in Chatland. Hello, Jeff, how you doing, mate? And big hugs to Maggie as well. Hugh says it's bloody roasting up north tonight. Sweat is running down my Baneblade. You doing a Baneblade? I can hear someone scurrying in the background as he's trying frantically now to come in and join the live stream because someone's mentioned Baneblade. PJ says molding chaps and all the frolicking Friday frolickers in the frolicking Friday chat. Whew. I did well there, quite pleased with myself. Everyone said hello to PJ. Jamesy boy is in, saying hello. Hello, Jamesy, how you doing, mate? Saying hello to Festa Foxx and all in the chat. Hugh saying molding to Marcus again. Bill says, hi, just Sophie and Stormy, PJ, Festa, et al. One saying hello to Jamesy. Hugh says, Quarter, you're following me again. Yeah. What else is going on there? Let's have a quick looky-loo because the chat's just jumped. That's PJ saying AMV's okay. Jamesy says yes, we can see and hear. Andy Quinn's in, says the evening Festa on all in the chat. Hope you have a great show. And you, Andy, mate. It's good to see you, mate. And yeah, Hugh says use your AV. Yeah. Andy Preston says, hi, everyone. Hello, Andy. How you doing, mate? PJ saying, hey, up to Andy over at Quinn Stars, as is Marcus. Andy's Preston saying hello to Jamesy, Marcus, and Jeff. Just Sophie says AC/DC. Oh, yeah, a bit of AC/DC. Got to have a bit of that. Bill says, turn your phone, Colin, and I'll ping you to disturb you every 2 minutes. If you're not used to being able to go with the flow without the GNU. Yeah, it's unusual because I'm able to take a breath at the moment and not get shut down with conversations. So So there might be a few pauses and ums and ahs from me because I'm a bit, not soloed for a little while. Sophie says bench, Infernus, Black Pearl, belly, a peppercorn pizza, beverage, a Zero.Paints. There you go. What is Zero.Paints? Is that a beer? Not sure. Bill's belly, sausage mash and gravy. Bench that Spanish bomber thingy. Bevy coffee has bought a 1350 HMS XR. Estate sale money going to cancer research. Oh, that's nice cause. And a 1350 of USS Missouri. Oh, nice, mate. So you're going to need extra shelves now then, Bill. So, because obviously they're quite large models, aren't they? Bobbin's belly, a couple of burgers. Bench is a 35th German G4 staff car. It's got the 6 wheels. Oh, mate, 6-wheeler. What can I say? It's a bit like the half-track motorbike. I used to love seeing them. Beverage, Goblin IPA, and I've bought some Skaven Rat Boys. Oh, happy days. Sophie says hi to the Bobbins and has passed Captain Marcus a Zero.Paints. There you go, peeps. That is the chat up to speed. I will endeavour to keep my eye on the chat as best as I can. I was going to switch on my iPad just to have that visible as well. So, yeah. So kick my bum if I forget you all. I hope I don't. I'll make a point of looking up every couple of minutes. Okay, let's just load this up. Bill says, and the pot of paint that was the real reason I went into the model shop in the first place. Yeah, I've done that before, mate. I've pretty much gone, I'll just put a couple of bottles of jars of paint on the list, and then you go in the hobby shop, and everything jumps out at you, doesn't it? And it's like, So let's just load that up, pop the chat out on there. mute the iPad. Bum, 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 and we'll pop that chat out. So let's do that first. And then we'll go over what I'm doing. Donald Mackenzie's belly bench even is Iron Man Commander, Codium Phaser Rifle, 3D prints. Belly is cheese and biscuits with red wine. Oh, happy days. Marcus's belly is Tagliatelle, meat sauce heavy on basil. I hope he's all right then. You know, I don't want to squash him. Bench Gundam Epion. Oh, nice one. Asigawa 148 Skyhawks and a 72nd Airfix Gloucester Meteor. Happy days, mate. Happy days. And Donald Mackenzie saying hi there. Hello, Donald. Lovely to see you. Marcus's beverage happily accepts Staropramon from Sophie. Yeah, happy days, mate. Happy days. Right, let's put that on live chat so that I can see what you're all saying. Right, what am I up to tonight? I'm going to be doing a little bit more on the digger to start with. And if I get a little bit lazy, I might even go and have a quick look in the gallery and see what's going on in the group. Because it's been a while since I've been in the group and had a look-see. So I'm going to wing it tonight just to see what we can do. I can say that I've got space on the other side of the screen here. If one of you wants to come in and join me, let me know. And as long as you got a decent mic and a webcam, then you can come in and sit on the other side of the screen and keep me company. So the offer's there. So first come, first served, and all of that. Sophie is saying hi to Donald, as is Jeff. Right. So what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be doing a little bit more on the old rockery, going around the edges, just going over it with a lighter grey. Administratum grey is what I'm going to be using, that one. And I'm just going to go round with a very fine brush, just picking out little edges where the light pink will be catching them. And then I've got my good old mate, a bit of Dirty Down rust. And that's just going to go over existing rust areas just to give that a little bit of depth. And then I can go over and then just do a few tiny streaks. I don't want to go too rusty with it, because less in my book is more, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, I just think it looks okay as it is, so I don't want to go too mad. Let's just check me chat, because me chat pinged. Right. Let's get a brush of goodness on the go. What have we got there? Well, I got the character brush, so I'll be using that for now. Open up the Liddy Pops. Marcus is saying to Sophie, you're too kind, and Hugh clarifies, yeah, it's a good beer. Staropramon, yeah, never heard of it, mate. But then teetotal, so yeah, me and alcohol, it's like, yeah. Right, so we'll put a little bit on the tip of the brush, and we'll just go round and touch up a few edges here and there. So let's drop the digger off and put that somewhere safe for the moment. Same with that, and we'll have a look just to see where I can go around and do a bit of touchy pops. So hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm up to. I've moved my camera setup a little bit because obviously I'm soloing, so I've had to change my angle a bit. So hopefully you can pick up what I'm doing. Hugh says, not as good as whiskey. Back in the day, Hugh, I used to like a bit of the old single malt, mate. You know, my sort of, how can I say, cheap bourbons were like JD, things like that. But yeah, if I was in a particularly sort of whiskey and cigar mood, because I used to smoke back then yeah, I used to have a nice little single, because H used to always get me single malts, so yeah. Sophie says, I hope no one minds me asking questions regards modding and painting. Why would we object, Sophie? It's a modelling stream. You know, it's enough of us in the chat and that, you know, there's very experienced and talented people in the chat. Not on screen, because I'm useless. I'm just a beginner like the rest of you. So, yeah, you got any questions? I am sure there's someone in the chat that will jump in and help you. That's what this is all about. So if you don't ask the question, how are you going to learn? You know, and it's one of them things I keep saying. If I didn't think I could learn anything new in this hobby, then I'd have to stop, because where's the incentive to keep going? So ask away, Sophie, and I'm sure people will be happy to help. Because that is the one good thing about this community. Everyone is willing to help each other. Jamesy Boy says, you can't beat a good whiskey. Marcus likes a single malt as well. Oh, we could start the conversation here now, then, with the old single malts. But yeah, it's the one thing I'll miss is a nice whiskey, but hey ho. I will let everyone else drink one for me. I'll be happy with that. Just literally caressing the edges of this bit of stone just to put a bit of white on it. Eric Guzman has just subscribed to the channel. Thank you very, very much for your subscription, Eric. It really, really, really means a lot. Don't forget, folks, subscribing to the channel is free. It's surprising. I was going through me stats one day and over 65% of watchers unsubscribed. And it costs nothing. I think people get confused with memberships and subscription and think that it's a cost thing. It's absolutely free, folks. So, yeah, it just grows the channel a bit more, you know, because that's what we're in it for. We're in it to learn, to, you know, improve our content and get, you know, as much out there as we can when we can, and grow our community, because we all get to meet each other in the chats and follow each other around between live streams and different live shows and formats. And 9 times out of 10, it's the same group of people that meet each other up, and you form a nice little bond with folks. And to me, that's important. A nice little social circle, isn't it? You know, when I first got back into this hobby, I didn't know about YouTubing models and things. And when I first was asked whether I had a channel by Tony over at Algon35, KA.Models builder Tony, I was like, who wants to sit and watch someone build a model? As I was sitting watching him build a Valentino Rossi bike. And that was it, really. And I pulled the pin, and at the time, I would have been happy with like 20, 30 subscribers, you know. I didn't think much of it. And it's grown, you know, it's a couple of thousand subs now. And I've got a load of footage in the archives that I'm going to be voicing over just to play a bit of catch up, because I want to try and get a bit more content out there. So a lot of me scale modelling stuff is going to be sort of binge uploaded and opened up to members and patrons as a complete series of the build series at once, so you could just sit and binge it and stuff like that. And then once you've all had your fill, then I'll drop it onto the mainstream YouTube. But started a couple of voiceovers during the week and got them going. I've got an E-Models one I'm going to do tomorrow overnight. Because the part work stuff going forward, I'm only going to do one part work at a time. Once these have finished, because it's interfering with all my scale modelling stuff, and I'm filming that in between part works, and I'm not really getting round to voicing it over and getting that sort of content up there. And it's all right just sitting there assembling them, but I kind of want to get back to what my main passion is, which is, you know, building scale model stuff, bit of styrene bashing. I didn't, you know, more live streaming like this, you know, just to keep that schedule going. And then obviously I'm looking at dropping random group stuff in where we can shoot the breeze with a late nighter or whatever time suits you all, and a bit of gallery and a bit of this and a bit of buffoonery. So it is going to happen. So my main schedule is going to be the midnight streams. And then looking forward, like I say, I'll need to chat to a few folks to see when they're available. I will try and throw you a monthly group show in or something like that for you. Thank you, Bill. Bill's put in a £20 super chat. Thank you very, very kindly, mate. Massively appreciated. Let's just type a nice thank you. Always nice. What's he saying there? Carry forward time for Foxx. A quiet time next stream. Dude, you got yourself a deal there, mate. Because, yeah, he needs to be punished, doesn't he? Because, yeah. Because tonight doesn't count that he's quiet because he's not here. So, yeah. Marcus says, nice one, LWM. Yeah, it is. It means a hell of a lot, mate. It really does. Hugh saying, how'd you like your chocolate, Sophie, if you don't mind me asking? Keep it clean now. That's rich coming from you, Hugh. Maggie and I, says Jeff, have met and got to know so many fantastic people via the streams. Yes. Yeah, it's surprising. Like you say, you get to meet such wonderful people. And I'm all for that. Let's get a little bit of water in there. There you go. I'll make it a little bit weaker. Just let me a bit more paint about. Yeah, that's what I noticed when I first got back into the hobby, that there are some really lovely people about, and a wide variety of people from different backgrounds and all of that, you know, and it's nice to meet up with them all and just sit and shoot the breeze and chillax and life stories and all of that lot, because we all like a good background story, and yeah, it's nice to see. Marcus says it's my fault that he's streaming. Well, I like to encourage people, and it's one of them. I've been asked many times this question because I got James into it, Ross into it, Marcus, got Sue into it, you know, so there's quite a lot of people that, you know, we helped out get on the way, you know, and streamed with different personalities over the years. And it's one of them that you see something in people, you see a bit of personality, don't you? And a little spark in individuals, and you then sort of say, well, I think you'd be good live. And poor old Marcus, once I got my claws into him and started nagging him, I wouldn't leave him alone until he set up a YouTube channel. Then it was live streams, and yeah. But you just see it in folks, don't you? You've got that, you know, he's got that eccentric personality, and, you know, you see that come alive in a hangout, and you think, well, there's an audience there. There's an audience there for you if you would like to take it. And I just mercilessly nagged the bloke until he got so fed up with me that he had no choice. But I think it was the right decision, because if you watch Marcus, he's a natural. He really is. And how different he is now from when he first started coming into the hangouts as this slightly introverted fella. And now he's just nuts. I thought I was bad till he came along, so it's taken the pressure off of me. Of course, his brother doing his stripteases in the background, that's always a laugh. But you can't unsee that. PJ did it late one night at the weekend when Marcus was on. PJ sent me a link and said, yeah, you need to go and watch this, mate. Marcus is on. So I quickly went in, and I just could not unsee. Yeah. Drip builder in a mankini. That's all I'm saying. PJ's solution to that was, if my retinas have been damaged, so should yours. Bill says, not sure what my audio is like on the bench. I have noise cancelling and other doodads on the PC in the living room. I bet it's a bit raw in the bedroom. Yeah, all right then, mate. I'll get that. Eric says, "Whoa, wasn't expecting my name to pop up on screen after subbing. You shouldn't use your nice brushes for the rough terrain. It really destroys the hair follicles." Yeah, these are pretty beaten up anyway, mate, this set of army painters. And this is actually just styrene and cat litter, mate, so it is quite soft. And I'm not putting a great deal of pressure on it, but this is my old army painter set. I certainly wouldn't use me broken toads on it or things like that. But yeah, this is my general, been used, been beaten up a little bit set. And yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he's saying, hey, yeah, anyone that subs to the channel, they get a little doodad that comes up on the screen, mate. It's just something that is activated in slobs, mate, and I've never switched it off. So subscribers, super chatters, you know, there's little alerts that come up, and it just gets you all involved in a way and lets you feel a part of something, you know. Sophie says, if I offend people because I'm different, queer, weird, you have two options. One, put up, two, get lost. Yeah, I don't think people are bothered, Sophie, to be quite honest with you. I certainly ain't. You know, I have a live and let live mantra, and, you know, I really am not bothered. You know, it's not a problem for me. Doesn't matter. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's a modelling live stream. I don't politicise. I don't do religion, homophobia, transphobia, whatever you want to call it. You know, I don't walk into a room and say to people, I'm a heterosexual male. I don't see that people need to justify it. It's your choice. It's your lifestyle choice, and you should be at ease with it and have no issues with anyone with an opinion on it. Moving on. But yeah, again, don't forget, folks, any questions, you know, there are people in the chat that'll help you out. Marcus sums it up. Yeah, we're all crafters, which we are, Marcus, at the end of the day. You know, it's one of them. You know, it was many moons ago that this was when I first started getting into YouTube and doing live streams, and I had just set the channel up and blah-de-da-de-da-de-da. And I hadn't put any filters in YouTube, and we had a couple of people in the chat one night that were, how can we say, 3 shots to the wind, and were being quite opinionated with a 1970s style of humour. And, you know, there was a few anti-Semitic gags and things like that popping in, and it was like, yeah, banhammer. And it's when I first started kicking people for that type of behaviour, because folks don't need to hear it at the end of the day. That's not what we're coming in for this for. And it's funny, I had this conversation with Marcus when we was first muted YouTube. I said, you will get trolled, you will get haters, we all get them. You'll end up with a few stalkers that just stalk your content to thumbs down it because they don't like scale modelling as a hobby or whatever. But bear in mind that once you get to a certain amount of subscribers and get monetized, they're actually helping pay you for the adverts that they're watching when they're waiting to put a thumbs down on. So it's karma. So that's how I got over it. It used to bother me years ago when it first started, some of the negativity. But nowadays, it's just like, yeah, whatever. You know, if they're picking on me, they're leaving someone else alone that might be more sensitive, you know. So there is that. There's always a blessing in there somewhere. But again, you've got that luxury. You can just block them from your stream. It is sad that that's what people do, but, you know, there are people out there that spend their entire day trolling YouTubers, so don't get it myself. Because it's one of those, isn't it? You sit there and you think, well, I wouldn't like it done to me, so why do it to other people? James says, we're all here to have fun and laughs with our friends while working on our benches and whatever we're building and crafting. Well, yeah, I mean, James won't mind me saying, but, you know, James has had a fair bit of trolling in his time, and, you know, it can bother you, it can frustrate you. You know, we've had quite honest conversations where, you know, it's got to him a little bit, and we've all rallied round him and put his mind at rest, you know, and he's carried on because I think at one point, like all of us, he was going to stop because he was just getting fed up with it. But there's no point in doing that. Hugh says, personally, in my lifetime so far, I've managed to pee off more people than I can remember. I call that a result. It makes you memorable, Hugh. I often say it's taken me 58 years of hard work to get this cantankerous and miserable, and I'm proud of my achievement, mate. Me and my missus, when we first started seeing each other, we went down to Bournemouth for a dirty weekend, and there was an old couple sat on this bench, and all you could do as you walked along, you could hear them berating young people as they walked past. The state of that. Look at this, look at that, bemoaning everything. And I said to my missus, if ever we end up like that, you know, life as we know it has ended. We'll never be like that. Now, we went to a similar, I think it was Selsia. We were sat on a bench on the beach, and people were milling around. Did you go people spotting? I don't know if any of you do it, but we all like a bit of people spotting. And suddenly we both burst out laughing because we realised we had turned in to that old couple from all them years previous. And we're sitting there going, oh, when did this happen? Yeah. Marcus says people can pick on me all they want. Thick skin, others call it fat, thick skin. But you pick on my friends, we'll have a chat. Exactly. That's when I get the when I see close mates getting real snark, you know, and you sit there and you think it's unjustified, you know, and not everyone can bat it away. Like I say, when I first started, I was still quite sensitive to it because I hadn't come across it before, and then I got a prescription for 4 bottles of Don't Give a F, and I just popped one of them pills, you know, don't care less pills, and don't bother me now. Sophie says should do a live stream, but too shy. I mean, when I first started, I steadfastly refused to do face to cam, but don't bother me now. Yeah, a solo streams for me was my biggest obstacle because I'm one of them people that likes to have someone else's voice in my ear roll. Not to the extent of Fox, don't get me wrong, because he don't shut up. But I like that barter on screen where you've got someone else sat that side and I can see them, and as you're talking you can banter off of each other. And on solos I miss that, so I get a little bit nervous with it and furtive, and I'm like searching for conversation because I don't want to have dead silence on air because I worry that you'd all get fed up with it. So yeah, I try to ramble as much as I can just to keep people occupied. But when I first started doing solos for remodels, it was solely because I knew I had to break its back. And the only way I could do it is do it for them because it was me work, so to speak, so I couldn't wheedle out of it. And when Fox messaged me before the show, I can't make it, I had a choice. Cancel or go solo. And my philosophy now is, why should I cancel? You know, I've had enough time off this year through dealing with poor old Sybil, me mum, and her care now, and I've not long been back to it, and I just thought, no, I'm just going to go solo. I was nervous about it because that's just how I am still. But the show must go on, you know, and just get on with it, Cole, and it's not all about you. You know, you've got an audience out there that are looking forward to their Friday shenanigans, and just because one of us can't make it, it's like not fair to punish people, is it? So, well, saying that, I'm punishing you more by sitting here talking rubbish, but you know what I mean. And it's good for me. Marcus says such a difference doing solo stream. That's the real test. It is, mate, because again, you know me well enough, Marcus, and so does James and PJ and Bill. I do like that, you know, tennis action on a live stream. And if I'm in an hangout and it goes quiet, I start worrying that I might have said something inappropriate and upset people. And then I'll ask the question, are you all right? Did I say something I shouldn't have? Because, yeah, I worry that, yeah, dead air is, yeah. We all have our weaknesses, I suppose, but yeah. Hugh says, who's doing the Sagan quote? If Jeff pops in, I can't do voices, mate. Oh, yeah, it won't be me, mate. But, yeah. I'll do an IOU for a Sagan quote. Move my mouse out of the way for a minute because I keep knocking it off the YWOBB chair. There you go. James says, I started off doing solo streams. I look back at it now and think, how on earth did I do it, as I struggle with chat engaging in solo. Yeah. It's one of those. It's, you know, I did it on the Sunday show once when Dave couldn't make it, and I thought I'll do the gallery and do it on my own, and it don't work doing the gallery on your own. It really don't. Not for me anyway, because when I'm complimenting people's work and reviewing photos on the gallery, it's nice to have that second voice in your ear and that person on the screen where you could go, look at that, and you each other are getting excited about the work you're talking about, and the passion is there and is audible. And when you're on your own, you're waiting for that additional comment, you know, so where you've got a delay between what you've said and the chat's response because of the 30-second YouTube delay, you don't quite get that banter and, you know, that praise going that you do when you're doing it with someone else. So for me, yeah, that's the most difficult thing. I tried solo and I learnt a valuable lesson not to do it on me lonesome, you know, and because a gallery show is, you know, you really want people to feel the love and the spark, and it doesn't quite translate when it's a single person doing it. Not for me anyway. Because you know what I'm like when I'm looking at stuff in the gallery. I'm like, oh, what do you reckon of that then, Dave? You know, and you've got an empty earpiece and you're like, oh, right, yeah. Again, a really quite light deft touches going on this. It's barely noticeable, but it's there so that as light hits the edges, it's just bringing out some of the textures. And this is literally packing foam. And a few bits of wire, florist wire put through it to replicate a bit of the old rebar. So, and it's quite small. So yeah, I didn't bother doing a spiral rebar around the outside of it, because in this scale, you're not going to spot that. So a bit round them edges. That's in shade, so I'm not going to worry about that. East End Sagan would be a laugh, yeah. Yeah. Marcus says you need a bowl plank at times, second pair of eyes to get some combo in galleries, is my opinion. Yeah, it's one of those. I have always thought, and I don't know whether you guys agree, I had this conversation with PJ once, that gallery shows always work better when there's like 2, 3, 4 people, you know, because you've got four faces on the screen, but you've also got 4 different opinions and more eyes spot different things and techniques. And I think you get a more varied and a better quality appraisal of the work by a group of 4 people. Sophie says, how do I do a super chat thingy? There's a little dollar sign just down the chat there where you type in. There's a little smiley face and a square box with a dollar sign and a plus sign next to it. Just click the dollar sign. And that should be it. The Model Streamer Club. Hi, Festa, can you see this? Left a message before, but it didn't show on my other account. Oh, bless you. Yes, I can see this. Yeah. So, yeah, you're in now, mate. There has been a few little glitches this evening. When I set this up and went live, it didn't pop up on the YouTube channel at all, so I had to quickly pause it, recheck all the stream keys were accurate, and then relaunch it, and it pinged. So I think there's a bit of an issue with the YT tonight. He says, yeah, it's just me. It's Jamesy boy. Hello, mate. Yes. So, yeah, it's one of those. I mean, I love live streaming. Again, a conversation with PJ where, you know, I used to do streams every single day back in the day when the pandemic was rife. But it can impact your filming schedules. This is why I only do Monday, Wednesday, Friday midnights, because Tuesdays and Thursdays I have as filming days so that I can film video builds of scale models, and then on a Thursday film me part works, and then I can edit them Saturday and Sunday away from the bench on the Apple and get them all uploaded on YouTube over the weekend, and then it keeps content coming that way. But as for the group show, yeah, I'd like to do probably once a month group of 4 or whatever. Do it as an invite, you know, 4 people max on screen, and then, you know, if people come and join, then one of us will drop out, myself included, you know, so it gives everyone a go. So I'm looking at doing it. I just need to get into a Zoom hangout and, yeah, sit and talk to people and see what works for them, because the Monday, Wednesday, Friday stuff with Fox is midnight, purely and simply because I go and see Mum on them nights at the hospital and, you know, deal with that side thing. Then I come home, I do the streams, job done. But earlier than that, like the gang of 4 E-models, I sometimes can't make the 9 PM slot because I'm on my way back from, you know, the care facility. So yeah, so I don't want to let people down. So the group stuff, I'm going to try and work out where we can drop it in once a month. And then obviously real life allowing, I can then go, yeah, we can bring the time slot rather than it be midnight during the week, because I don't work, whereas other people do. And there's obviously folks on the continent that are on a different time zone. So I want to try and do it where it's easy for those. I don't want to stream at the weekend because obviously you've got a lot of other folks stream now, and my old Sunday time slot got taken. So I kind of want to just do it Monday to Friday so that I've got my weekends to me. Good old Cove lockdown, not many of us together, wasn't such a bad thing. Well, yeah, Hugh, I mean, I've been housebound for 11 years now. So I get cabin fever every now and then. And when the pandemic hit, suddenly people related to me talking about cabin fever and going, get what you mean now, Festa, because, you know, we've only been home a few weeks and we're going nuts. And I thought, well, I'm at my bench. Why not just hit the live button and just sit and talk with each other and just keep people feeling socially involved? And that's where my prolific streaming came from. And then when that all ended and people started going back, I was like, okay, let's now separate the wheat from the chaff and pull out. I mean, originally when I came back, I was only going to do 1 stream a week, but during the week, there's nights where I'm at the bench overnight. Bill knows this because we've done overnight hangouts and stuff. So if I'm not filming, I'll just go in Zoom and go, anyone about? So, yeah. But with the live stuff, yeah, it's a perk for the Zoom and channel members. So, like I say, if you're patrons and channel members and you've got a decent webcam and mic, then, you know, we'll have a chitter-chatter and see who's up for it, and we'll try and pencil in a group show, because I want to try and move the gallery into that group environment, because I think it works really well. And I'm getting lots of messages saying, when are you going to do a gallery again, Cole? Because apparently people enjoy my slightly out there gallery sessions, because, you know, they're like, you never say a bad thing about people's work. You're always encouraging people's work, and you never give a bad opinion of anything and stuff like that. And I'm all about encouraging rather than discouraging builders. And we all had to learn, start this hobby from nothing. So why would I rivet count someone? Why would I give someone a bad appraisal of their work? I think that's cruel, and they don't learn anything from that. Sophie's put in a £2 super chat and says, thank you for accepting me, Sophie. She says, why would we have a problem? You're always going to be accepted. So, as I've said many times before, it doesn't worry me. It really doesn't. You know, I've got all kinds of a friend circle, and my family circle is very diverse. So, yeah, you know, it's the modern world we live in, and if anyone doesn't accept you, in my opinion, they're not even worth valuing as a friend, Sophie. So, don't even give it a thought. And as I've said to you before, you're in my group. I've banned people from my group for racism, homophobia, transphobia, extreme political views. I've got no qualms in nerfing folks like that away, because not in a woke way, but we're in a very broad spectrum in this hobby, and there's a wide variety of people with a wide variety of lifestyle choices and backgrounds, and I think we are better people for being more accepting of each other. And this goes back to a famous bit of video footage from the space station. I know this is a tangent, but there was an astronaut looking out of the window of the space station, and he was reflecting on what he was seeing, and he was looking out, and there's the planet revolving around like a ball of rock and water, because it ain't flat. Controversial. They said, looking at the window at this very beautiful little bowl of land and rock in this vast blackness, and looking at how much water there is and how little land there is, you can't see any borders drawn on it or anything. Why are we all fighting over this little bit of dirt? Why are we all killing each other in needless wars, fighting for land? Why don't we just get along with each other, share it all, and get rid of all the prejudices? How wonderful the world would be. And it was quite thought-provoking, and yeah. So anyway, I'm rambling again. Hugh says, yeah, we were aware, stuck at home with nobody to social with, brought many more into the fold for better or worse. Exactly, Hugh. Exactly. I mean, I met so many wonderful people because they were sat at home on their iPads going through YouTube. They would hit that live tab and suddenly my mug would pop up and ruin their day. But I certainly got to meet a lot more people when the channel grew and my friends circle grew, because this is my social network. Without the webcam, the hangouts, I'm literally staring at the walls all day until Helen and my boy comes home, you know. So you end up pacing up and down the hallway, you know, like a prisoner in your own home, in your own body and in your own mind. And I'm a manic depressive. So it's the worst thing for me is to be alone too long thinking about bad stuff because you're going to dark places. Whereas now I can just come in, switch the webcam on and talk to a face, you know, and we can shoot the breeze, do a bit of painting and a bit of banter, a few jokes, you know, and just belittle each other. And for me, that is vital. And a lot of us have our slightly mental health demons issues and that. And you know, a lot of people have gravitated to the group because of that, because we can sit and talk to each other freely about our struggles and no one judges. And for me, that's vitally important. Oh, yeah. And it's actually saved a couple of people from doing something silly because they've been in a dark place. I did one where someone reached out at 4 in the morning. I was sat there with a knife in one hand and a bottle of pills on their bedside cabinet. Natasha's in saying, hello, sorry, Natasha, I missed you there. Lovely to see you. And this individual reached out and I quickly threw up a link. I went, what's going on? Come on. And long story short, about a month later, their missus popped in. Thanks for that, mate. I went, what's that? You really helped there because I got that message whilst I was at work. I was frantically driving to get back, and yeah, that person now is having counselling. So that's where this can help people. And I'm not a trained therapist, wouldn't pretend to be that, but sometimes just a friendly face and a friendly voice is what people need. So works for me. Right, let's put a little bit of water in there. Actually, no, let's put a bit of lamia in there. 2 secs. There it is. Let's bung a bit of Festas fluids in there. That sounds so wrong, folks, doesn't it? This is my homebrew lamia medium, folks. Bit like what you can buy from Citadel. But yeah, it's just a homebrew variant, right? That does the same thing, and it just kickstarts your paint. There you go. Bung a bit of that in there, and I just want to thin that down a little bit, purely simply because it's at the bottom of the pot, and it's cloggy like a warthog's mud hole. So yeah. Sophie says, nice to see you, nice. And yeah, Jamesy Boy says, know the feeling there, Festa. Yeah, I got asked about it once on a live stream. Someone noticed the scarring around me wrists, and that question got asked. Now, I had 2 choices. I could either remain guarded about it or just be open and honest. So I was open and honest, and you know, said I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not proud of it. It's a part of me. And he says, Festas fluids, all by gutter level. Yes, I've got various boxes of sticky stuff. It's sticky. It's medium. Yeah. Got bottles of Festa Fin, all kinds of things, mate. But can't beat a bottle of Festas fluids, mate. I was asked whether I would do it as a range. I think it was Andy Quinney was like, you know, he saw the Festa Fin and various Festas fluid. It started as a gag, basically. And yeah, a few people have reached out. I did at one point consider reaching out to a company and see whether they would relabel some stuff and put some out there. But yeah, Jeff says, just listening works wonders. It does. See, my paint's kickstarted now. See that? So from that little bottle of solid, gluey, murky paint, I've re-kickstarted my little bottle. So Festas fluids, folks. Your fun, festery, sticky stuff. Anyone of a nervous disposition, I do apologise. So yeah, good to see you in, Natasha. Got your message the other day. I hope you're doing a bit better. Jamesy says, Bookie no, you Gordon Love Adelaide, maybe an arbor law. Jeff says, just listening works wonders. PJ says, I keep thinking I've gone deaf in one ear. Oh, well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually miss Fox. I'll go and hit myself with the door. Oh, sorry, PJ. I'm trying to be as entertaining as I can, but, you know. Thanks for the lack of confidence in me. Through the tears, Carl. But yeah, I do, because I think this show works and thrives on a 2-man banter, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, this is it's one of them shows people get so used to our banter and nitpicking at each other, because we are like an old married couple and we can drive each other nuts. But people like that, you know. There's been times where people think we don't actually get on. We do. but we're not shy in saying when the other one's getting on our tits. So, and it works as well, because, you know, Fox is like me. He's quite a nervous chap. So we talk a lot because we are quite nervous and worried that if we don't say anything or whatever, people are going to tune out and leave us. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we are here trying to sort of entertain folks. So we do worry, but we also can overthink stuff. But we try our best. Natasha says it was just nice. I'm not going through the same things on my own. Exactly, because when you're like that, we all think we're the only person in the world that it's happening to, and sometimes you then start questioning your own sanity, and yeah, it is one of those. You know, I go for I go for regular holidays in a place locally to me called Parklands, and it's basically a mental hospital. And you go there and you do your thing and get your head right again, you know. And a lot of people were shocked when I was like, well, you know, they're like, oh, where you been? You know, you've not been on here. Yeah, I went on holiday. Oh, where did you go? Anywhere nice? And I'm like, yeah, Belmont Wall, Parklands. It's a mental health establishment because I had a wobble. And then you get that awkward silence because people are worried as to what they can or can't say. And I go, look, just ask me anything. You know, and that's it, really. Place to be honest, I find. And without them and their help and their support, then, yeah. And, you know, years ago, I would have tried something silly, and I made a deal with my wife that I wouldn't do that again. So if I do start wobbling and get in them dark places, creeping back, I just say, yeah, I might need to go away for a few days. And so they've helped me no end because I can spot it now and do something about it. So... Natasha says, I'll be picking up Stitch next week. Hugh says, we're all civil-minded folks. We seldom agree, but we get on regardless. It's called common courtesy. Exactly. You know, me and Fox can be quite brutal with each other on there. And the amount of times people are like, why'd you stream together if you hate each other? We don't. We get along. But, you know, we can overpower each other sometimes. And... you'll often hear me take a breath, Fox, or I stupidly paused for a breath and bump. But he's like me, he doesn't like dead air on the live stream, so he sees it as a prompt to jump in, you know, and I don't hear so well, so I think he's stopped talking and I'll start talking, and then it's like, did I speak over you? Sorry about that. But we get along. We have our laughs, we have our jokes, we can drive each other nuts, but we're both guilty of the same thing. And it's like anything. You can read, you can say something verbally to someone in a hangout, and because they can see your body language and the tone you're saying, they can tell it's banter. But you can type something in a chat message or a WhatsApp message or whatever, and you can read it. And because you don't know the context or the intent that message was typed in, you can misread it. And I'm terribly guilty of that because I read words very literally. And I think then that someone's having a pop. And I'm like, who's upset you then? There's no need for that. And I start kicking off then. And they've made a perfectly innocent statement, but because your frame of mind's a bit off, you start getting defensive and your paranoias are creeping in. And I'm not shy of reaching out to people and go, yeah, I read that back. I was a bit of a dick there. I do apologise. I'm not shy in doing that because I don't always get it right. Whereas there are many, many people that wouldn't do that because they wouldn't be able to admit that they're wrong. And it's like, it takes a bigger person to say, yeah, I got that wrong, apologies. And it's done then, it's done and dusted. You know, and I've messaged Fox before and I've had a War and Peace response. And I'm like, who's upset yet? Oh, blah, 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 blah. And I went, read it back again. Oh, yeah, apology accepted. So we're both as bad as each other. Eric Guzman says, I was trying to figure out why your accent seemed familiar. You sound exactly like Tyson Fury's dad. See, when I first started live streaming, I tried desperately to try and conceal my accent. And Tony over at Elgin35 said, just be yourself, mate. You can't conceal your accent. It's a bit strong, mate. But I've always hated it, to be honest with you, you know, because the pronunciation police always pick me up on how I say things, and they're like, I think you'll find it's said this way, and it's like, don't have a pop, mate. You know, I don't need pronunciation lessons at the end of the day. It's how I speak. And if you don't like it, jog on is my motto. But it did bother me for a while because it used to happen a hell of a lot, whereas now it's just like, yeah, whatever. I speak how I speak. I'm from where I'm from, and I'm proud of it. What's going on? Old age and treachery will always outwit youth and ignorance. Yeah, I mean, I'm what, 58 now, and I must admit, I am quite a prickly sod now, and I never used to be. And I have noticed the older I've got more cantankerous, you know, and easily agitated, you know, because you sit there and you think, well, you know, if someone had said that back in the day, you would have given them a dry slap, wouldn't you? And yeah, I've got no tolerance, not like I used to. I used to have quite a high tolerance for ineptitude, should we say, but whereas now, you know, if someone within 5 minutes has had 3 or 4 pops about me accent or me background or where I'm from, that's it. That's disrespect, isn't it? And you're like, yeah, you're wanting to put on the leg gloves, ain't you, and giving them a dry one because they're getting on your, you know, your tits, basically. Jamesy Boy says, never conceal your accent. He says, be proud of it, it's who you are. It took me a long time to realise that, mate, if I'm honest, because, yeah, it used to really... It did put me off live streaming for ages, mate. It really did. But now it's just like, it's who I am. You know, there are folks that are really fascinated by it. We was in the States for a while, me and my missus, a few years back now. We was in a deli in New York, and they kept wanting me to say stuff. They kept coming up, could you say this? Could you say that? And the guy did a thing on his speaker, we've got a cockney in, you know, and it was like... It was just made up, and every day we used to go in for a nice deli sarnie and got to know them, and they just wanted me to talk. It was weird. But they used to giggle about it. I was like, because the New York accent is quite strong. It's a very nasally accent, and they was just fascinated. And they was also fascinated by Helen's accent, because back then she still had a very soft Findorn accent from up in... you know, the north of Scotland. So she was still very soft. Was it Crofter's voice or Crofter's accent? But they used to find the contrast between us quite funny, because I'm a big fella. I'm what, 6'2", 17 stone, and Helen is, you know, 5 foot nothing and about 7 stone. So the contrast between us was quite, yeah. And at first they thought she was me daughter, which made her day, and really, it didn't make mine, which was quite funny. She's Benjamin Button with knockers because she never seems to get aged. The older she gets, she seems to look younger, as much as that pains me to say it, but she does. And folks that have met her are like, my God, how old is she? And I go, 57. And they're like, nah. I go, yeah, my missus. So, yeah. Of course, the boys take the mick because she's out and about with them, and they think she's their sister, which is quite funny. It's like, yeah. Natasha says, I sound like a Londoner and I'm not from there. I'm Anglican. Anglican? Yeah, Anglican. Turkey and land. Laughing my arse off. She says, yeah. Hugh's got quite a deep voice as well. He's got a very distinctive accent from memory. Eric says, yeah, sort them out properly. Well, yeah, he's going to take the one side, slap the taste out of their mouth, isn't he? That's what it's all about. Yeah, it is one of them. Whereas, yeah, now I'm like, yeah. It's funny, me mum, she's got a telephone voice, which is quite sweet, bless her, because, you know, she's broad London accent as well, you know, but again, she tries to disguise it. It's just one of them things. Don't know why. But a few of me close friends want me to do audio books. Old Stuart, he said, I'd love you to do a Warhammer Orc book as an audio book. And yeah. And then I think it was Fox was saying, could you imagine you doing Shakespeare? So yeah, a few people have reached out and said, yeah, if ever got a chance to do an audio book, please do one. Jamesy Boy says, Dinny Ken, Hugh or Golden, was brought up with a strong Scottish dad, I do believe, yeah. He made sure I knew the Scottish words. Happy days. We spent a lot of time up in Edinburgh, and I used to work with a guy from East Kilbride. People used to wonder how we understood each other. Sorry, I'm shaking that, and it's got a rattler in it. I do apologise. But we understood each other fine. You know, we both, in the end, paced what we said a lot slower than how we would normally speak, just so that we could pick up what each other was saying. But it worked really well because other people in the room didn't have a clue what we was talking about. Just going to rattle me thing. If you want me to mute me mic, tell me and I'll mute it for a minute. Actually, I'll mute it. There you go. Just didn't think you'd want that ball bearing rattling away in your lug holes, folks. All right. So I'm going to cover these up. Not going to use these for the dirty down rust, even though they are a bit battered. I do have somewhere. Where is it? Is that the one? Actually, I'll use one of these. Let's find one with a pointy one. There you go. There you go. Use one of them disposable brushes, see, because yeah, I want that going on. Let's bring Digger McDigginers in. Not very organised tonight with me bench, am I, folks? Let's get that away. Bring you totally off the bench for a minute. Shove you in there. And do a bit of dirty down rusting. Shove you out of the way. Like that. There you go. All right. Can you make it for yourself, Carl? Oh, this is said digger. I've got a few tiny little rust chips and that going on around it. But I kind of don't really want to go overboard with it. So I'm just going to go over a few of the bits that I've got with a bit of dirty down just to embellish them around the welds and things like that. Just to try and dirty it up a bit. Ready for when I put a little bit of rust pigment on in a few places, just so that it looks a bit more three-dimensional. This is really good stuff, this dirty down rust. I can't praise it enough. This is what I used. I Twitch moment, PJ. This is what I used on the Bluey car, folks, that I built. And yeah. So for those wondering what I mean by the Bluey car, you might want to look away here, Peach. Where are you? That's the Bluey car. And I used the Dirty Down rust on this to do all of the rusting and stuff on the mud guards and stuff like that, and streaking and all of that lot. So yeah, she's got to go underneath the airbrush to have a bit of a dust off. But so yeah, I used it on that. So yeah, there you go. The infamous Bluey car. Sorry, PJ. He's now twitching like Dreyfus out of the Pink Panther, folks. But yeah, he has a hate relationship with the Bluey car, bless him. And that's not a problem at the end of the day. I don't mind. Don't have to like all the builds I do. But yeah, it's just one of those little fun projects. And yeah, the infamous Bluey car. PJ says, not listening, la la la, my eyes, oldie in humanity. Sorry, mate. Natasha says, I wouldn't be sorry. Yeah, Natasha, bless her, she's got her favourite build that I did. And it was the Berlin dio I done for KA.Models, and she very kindly has it as a banner on her group. And I was proper made up by that because I didn't expect it. I really didn't. And I was very humbled that she done that. So big thank you to Natasha for that, because yeah, I think that was very kind to do that. So yeah, go around, put a little bit of that in. Hopefully I'm still on camera. Let's try and keep that on shot for you, folks. Jamesy Boy says, no, they're quite far apart. West Kilbride is on the Ayrshire coast. East Kilbride is near Glasgow. Yes, East Kilbride is where he was from, the Glasgow bit. Because he always used to talk about, and I apologies if I say this wrong, is it Sauchiehall Street? If I've ballsed that up, please forgive me. But yeah, he used to always talk about that place, and yeah, you know, yeah. Some of the shenanigans and characters. He always spoke about characters that he used to see on the streets and Scottish ways, you know, how people behaved, and, you know, because everyone will, you know, automatically thinks Scots drunk, which isn't the case. You know, you get some lovely people up. And, you know, he used to tell me some wonderful stories about things that people did and mannerisms that people had and ways about them. And I always find that sort of background story interesting, to be quite honest with you. Sophie says, I've offended you, so I will leave. No, you won't. No one needs to leave. Yeah, you know, we're only having banter at the end of the day, so come on, let's not get all woke in here. You know. It's all jokes and banter, and Hugh's got a sense of humour, so no one has to leave. I'm not going to hand out Oscars and things like that for performances. Let's just all get along, if you don't mind. But, yeah. If it helps, you could just insult London, so if it makes me feel better, I don't mind. I don't care now. Is what it is. But I mean, we was up there not long ago, and it's strange because I don't feel I've got any roots now. I find it strange when I go back up to where I was raised, because a lot of it's gone. Because London, you know, it's like any major city. It's constantly evolving, constantly developing, and, you know, different cultures move in, different cultures move out. There's all of that going on. But I never feel I belong there now when I go up there. It's strange. I can't really relate to it like I did as a young fella, because I still lived there. And now, dare I say it, I'm actually quite relieved to get home, so to speak. But even here, I don't really feel at home, because I don't know whether that's something as you get older that happens, but I don't feel I've got strong roots here, and certainly not when I go back up to London. It's transformed and changed so much that all the familiarity that I remember has gone now. And all right, all the landmarks are still the same, that sort of thing, but little communities that you remember fondly, they've all gone. And I think that's what is missing now. I don't know whether it's the same where you all are, but there used to be a very strong community spirit within where you lived, you know. I mean, when I grew up, people on the double sides of the street, you know, used to all be aunts and uncles, so to speak. You know, some were blood relatives, but not all of them were. But you always called everyone aunt and uncle, and you always looked after the old folks and respected each other. But you would always have a little gaggle of housewives on their doorsteps, shooting the breeze and bemoaning the new floozy that had moved in down the street, so to speak. And you had that little group of people that if something did go wrong, or someone was someone was a total stranger or was snooping where they shouldn't be around your properties, people dealt with it. There was that strong community. You could go out, leave your house unlocked, and no one would touch anything. And that's gone now. And is that the same everywhere, or is that just a London thing? I don't know, but I certainly noticed that when I was last up there, that I certainly didn't see those little congregations of folks down the streets that you used to get in a friendly way. They almost seemed like they was living under a cloud of intimidation almost. And I found that, I wouldn't say disconcerting, but I did find it a bit disappointing that that's how it came over. But is that life in general now? I don't know. It just may have been an old git looking for things to be wrong that ain't wrong. I don't know. What's it like where you all live? Are you having a similar kind of feeling? Yeah, I mean, I used to go up to Scotland quite a bit. Used to spend a bit of time in Manchester because I used to go in and do IT for one of our distribution centres up there. Yeah, I've got to sort of go round both good and bad bits because I am nosy, you know, and I like to try to get a feel for a place. But you're talking sort of early 90s that I was up and down them places, and things have changed. In the whole country has, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's just an immigration problem either before that gets raised, but I think it's just in general that people have lost that friendliness. I mean, you used to get a Red Rover in London and go on the old Route Master buses, and you could go all round London, a bit like an Oyster card is now. And, you know, you could go to different boroughs, different places, but you'd sit on a train or on a bus, and you would spark up conversations with both older folks and younger folks, and you used to always get a little bit of background story off of people about their life and what they had been up to and all of that lot. And I used to find that fascinating, especially with the old fellas that had been through the war, because they would tell you their war stories, but their wives would also tell you how it was for them with rationing and trying to raise the kiddies when the city was being bombed and that sort of stuff, you know. And I used to thrive on them stories because it's history, isn't it? And, you know, that's all gone now that generation is sadly, you know, leaving us. I used to find it quite fascinating because they had lived that life, you know. And it's the same for folks in Manchester and that. They got bombed as well. And I think that's all lost now. What's there to talk about, you know? And I miss it. I sat on a bus when I was last up the smoke. I was going to have some tests done at an hospital in London. So we've got the old rattler up there. And, yeah, well, I was just sitting there, you know. H was going to get a cab, and I went, well, it's only round the way there. We can just hop on a bus and be there in minutes. And no one spoke to each other. You had 18 people staring at their phones, and there was deathly silence. Whereas from memory, that would have been full of conversation. And it was sad. I found it sad. But is that because people are worried about talking to each other in case they say the wrong thing? I don't know. We're a nation of apologisers, aren't we? I've noticed that in myself. I'm forever apologising for things just in case someone's offended. And is that a modern trait, folks? Q says the whole world changes. The planet is 4.543 billion years old. Our lifetime is 80 years. There, go do the math. It does, mate. Jamesy says Glasgow's not the city it once was. Sadly, slowly been ruined now. Even where I am is getting overdeveloped. Yeah, it's... Yeah, when we moved down here where we are, because we're 40 mile outside London, and it was a little, I wouldn't say a little market town, but it had started developing, but it certainly wasn't like it is now. And now it's, it's a mini little city. It's overdeveloped too soon, and none of the background resources are in place to cope with it. So, there's depravity in every city, don't get me wrong, but it's crept in very quickly down here and quite extremely, and it's like a little powder keg at the moment, and not much. It doesn't take much to set things off. We've got, without getting into the politics of it, we've got a lot of hotel protests and right-wing activity going on, and yeah, which is sad, I think, in the modern world. Have we learnt nothing? So there is that. And that's disappointing to see, I think, in the modern world, because if you see a lorry pull up, you're waiting for the back doors to open and 50 people to jump off, because we've got a lorry park up the way. And it's constantly patrolled now by the border people because, lorries pull in and suddenly the doors burst open and it's like, it's rife. But I think it's the same everywhere down, certainly down this end of the country. I think anywhere with a large port network and sort of train network and motorway network nearby, you're going to get a lot of that. But we're M3, M4 corridor, Portsmouth, Southampton, obviously the tunnel, all of that. So we get quite a bit of it. But there's the violence that goes with it, because obviously the folks themselves don't want to go to a centre. So they get quite aggressive and violent towards the authorities. So you do see a lot of that going on, which is frightening for the older folks, let's be honest. Yeah. Is that an issue up the north of the country? I don't really know, because I don't, as a rule, try to watch too much news because of the doom and gloom. But, is it an issue sort of Liverpool, Manchester way? Because you've got quite a lot of port activity up there, haven't you? So I don't know whether you get the boats problem, but I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. There you go, a little bit of dirty down rust on there. Also, what you got planned for the rest of the weekend, folks? I'm going to be doing the old MotoGP bit, getting me knee down in my armchair, watching bikes go round in circles, because that's how I roll. So I'm set for the weekend with a bit of the old Japanese MotoGP, and Mark could win the title this weekend, which would be nice. Got to rank as one of the biggest comebacks in sporting history, I must admit. Tiger Woods with his back after he had all his multiple surgeries is another good comeback story. But those that don't know MotoGP, Marc Marquez broke a humerus bone several years ago now in his upper arm and had repeated surgeries on it and was close to having to retire. So he made the choice to go in and have his arm rebroken and the humerus rotated 30-odd degrees on itself and rejoined because it was out of sync. So he looked like he was riding with a chicken wing sticking out the side of his body before he had it done, because he had to adjust his arm and elbow position to try to grip the handlebars, and it was like a barn door that he was riding with, bless him. But he made that bold decision, and it could have gone so wrong. I would liken it to many years ago when Mick Doohan broke his leg badly and they sewed his legs together because he was close to needing the leg amputated. And I would liken it to that, and he come back and won multiple world titles as well. So yeah, I'm a huge Valentino Rossi fan. So obviously there was the rivalry with Mark and Valentino, and both sides could have conducted themselves a bit better in that big rivalry. And even now there's hatred between the two, which I think is a massive shame for the sport. And I would love to see them bury the hatchet, to be quite honest with you, because they're both geniuses on two wheels. And like I say, they both could have handled things a lot better back then. And I'm hoping, a bit like Valentino and Max, they do bury the hatchet, because they're two of the greatest riders of all time. And I would like to see them just shake hands, get on, because I think for the sport, them two getting along is far better than not getting along. That's what I think. Call me an old wuss, but I just think that they could do a lot better together than on their own. I'll crack it on with my infamous black pearls of this weekend. Oh yeah, you can't beat a black pearl. Marcus likes a black pearl, does like a bit of a photo etch kit, does our Marcus. So if any of you have got a spare metal earth kit or a duplicate, feel free to let Marcus be aware, because he loves all of that. Yeah. Marcus's reaction now is a bit like one of PJ's eye twitches. I can feel it. I can feel it going on. I can feel the heat coming through my webcam where he's staring at it intently. Put a little bit of rust on there. Natasha's got no scenery at some point. Jamesy says 11 years since I was down at Gateshead and Stormbrook. I've never been there. I drove past the Angel of the North on the way up to Edinburgh years ago. But yeah, I've never actually been in there. I've heard it's a really nice place and people are really pleasant. So yeah, it is one of those that I'd like to go to. Like you say, there's good and bad everywhere, isn't there? So, you know. But me and Bobby, she was chatting about London yesterday, and, you know, it just looks so... just so downtrodden now. It's, you know, dishevelled. Is that the right way of wording it? I don't want to offend people that still live up there, but it's looking a bit in need of a... You know, some of the older buildings, you know, a bit of a jet wash, get rid of some of the road dirt off of the older buildings and just go round the streets and pick up all the crap lying everywhere. Would be a start. Because, you know, it's a capital city at the end of the day. But then is that the same for most cities now, looking a bit tired? There you go. That's a little bit more of a polite way of wording it, where they look a little bit downtrodden and dishevelled, and you certainly notice it if you go in by train, because obviously you've got all the graffiti everywhere as you're going along the train lines, and that alone can make people feel intimidated, I suppose. But I wouldn't say it's as claustrophobic as New York when we was out there, you know, all the skyscrapers and that. I found just that little bit hemmed in, because you're looking at the sky almost through a letterbox. It's a bizarre effect. I mean, London's built up, don't get me wrong, but New York, there's such an intense amount of skyscrapers in such a short space. I actually found it just a little bit stifling, you know. Hugh's loving fishing. Never been fishing, Hugh. He's now spat his whiskey out. Never been, mate. My uncle used to fish. He used to go out fishing. My brother used to go out on the boats, do a bit of sea fishing, but it's funny, I like watching the Deadliest Catch TV show because it's like, you know, jobs with balls of steel, innit? Let's be honest with you. You know, they're guys that go out on them trawlers in the Bering Sea. I mean, that's hard work, innit? I mean, you know what I mean? You get the new greenhorns start and they turn up, don't they? And they're all leery and everything. And they soon calm down. But yeah, it's a bit like North Sea oil workers, you know, that's a job of work, innit? You know, it's tough, you know, out in the middle of the North Sea on the rigs. You know, and I take my hat off to people that do jobs like that because that's tough work, innit? Let's be honest with you. You know, they're not sitting in an office typing out spreadsheets. They're, you know, life and death environments, aren't they? Bill says, don't know what your time is going until tonight, but it's a 30-minute warning for a stand-up. Yeah, I should be going my usual time, 2 o'clock, and then I shall be off ski because I've got meds to take and stuff like that and me dinner to have, plus obviously bikes to watch. So I'll do my usual 2-hour time slot, but thanks for the heads up, Bill, because, yeah, I've got an actual timer set on me right there so that I'll get a little buzz just to let me know. So that's a little bit of dirty down on those. Less is more. I'm happy with it. Jamesy says, love that program. Yeah, it's just one of those programs, isn't it, that's so addictive to watch. And again, the characters, you know, they're wizened old fellas. I like Wild Bill and I like Sig as well. I know why old Sig, I think, it's just got a way about him that is a bit cheeky chappy, isn't it? You know, but yeah, Wild Bill Wachowski with his proper sailors flowing white locks and his Marcus beard going on. It's like proper old sea captain, isn't he? And it's just like, yeah. Who says, PJ, do you not have a Jaguar to be fiddling with? Yeah, he's got D-type, isn't he? Has it arrived yet, Peach, the MFH D-type? You've started it yet? We need to know all the details. Yeah, I'd swear blind if he had a tattoo, it'd be MFH. And why not? So I have a bit of that on there. A little bit of yellow rust then. He says, yeah, but later in the year, possibly next year. Yeah, you're doing your Serenity still, aren't you, Peach? He's doing a bit of scratch build, godness, bless him. Where did I put that? Burke, did you lose that? God, what's wrong with you? Got grit in your eyes, mate. I'm just going over the brown now with a bit of the yellow, just to try and blend them together on the tips there. Because why not? I've got a load of dust to put on this as well at some point. I would do it now, but I'm been a bit sneezy today, and I can imagine there's going to be a big plume of dust willowing over the bench, so I'll do that later. Have you a bit of that along there? What we got going on in the chat there? Oh yeah, Phil Harris, yeah, rest in peace, Cornelia Marie. He's been gone a few years now, hasn't he? Bless him. But yeah, another character. Wasn't that old either, was he? Bless him. I think the boys got in a little spot of trouble, didn't they, with real life issues going on away from it. And I think a few of the captains have had issues with substance abuse and things like that. But then it is a very high pressure environment. When you hear
of, you know, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're paying out for new engines and stuff just to keep the boats going. And it's all money that they need to make back, and not all of them own their own boats. And I don't think I could cope with that sort of stress, to be honest with you. And this is why we all take our hat off to these types of jobs, because it's so intense. Quite scary when you think about it. But there was one recently, it was advertised, and you saw all the waves, and I think there was an abandoned ship issued and all of that. And you know, you sit there and you watch them programs, how quickly it can change and how easily people can be injured with a low-flying hook and things like that. It separates the men from the boys, I think. You know, I think that's why I appreciate it so much. I don't think it's a job I could do. I don't think I could be that good on boats, to be quite honest with you. You know, a ferry's all right, but getting blasted around in the Bering Sea like a pinball, I don't think my equilibrium would cope so well with that. I think I'd have my head over the side doing the Huey Greens, to be quite honest with you. Wuss like that. Wouldn't take much. Oh yeah, we've got the front grate to start as well, ain't you, Carl? Yeah, he says he wasn't old, but he was well liked, a respected guy among the captains. Again, I think they liked him because he was down to earth, wasn't he? He was just an honest Joe at the end of the day. And yeah, it's sad, isn't it? You know, I mean, did he have a stroke? Was that what started it? I think it was on air, wasn't it, that he was poorly bad? And yeah, bless him. He wasn't that old, no. A bit darker on there, Cole, I think. Sophie works 5 hours a week for the North East Ambulance Service. Good for you. Nice bit of giving back there to the services. Good for you, Sophie. Yeah. Again, that's another tough job. Paramedic and that, and fireman. And firewomen, of course, or fireperson, firefighters, whatever we have to call it now. But yeah, it's another group of folks that are putting their life on the line, isn't it, to keep us all safe. Dare I say it, police as well. You know, it's another thankless job at the end of the day. Because, you know, people will sit there and badmouth them and I hate coppers and all of that lot. If you're suddenly getting mugged in the middle of nowhere, who you wishing would come along? Yeah. So I tend to say that to people, you know, it's all right saying you don't like them, but if something happened to your young'un or your missus, you'd soon be wanting a policeman to turn up. You know, I have me run-ins, you know, football, things like that, you know, but at the end of the day, you still respect what they're trying to do. Again, I couldn't do the job. Prison officer, it's another tough job. Guys that go down the sewers, you know, and keep all the pipes unbunged, you know, that's another one, isn't it? I mean, come on. Bill says, my sister and brother-in-law are sailing to the Isle of Man at the moment. They took the dog for his first proper sail, spent hours stood on the bow, just letting the wind blow through his fur. Oh, bless. Hugh Golden says, Captain Walker didn't come home. His humble child would never know him. Who, you may ask? Yes. Wow. Everyone's saying respect, Sophie. Well done, lass. Exactly. Changey Boy says, yeah, you see the emergency service attendant on screen. He was on the boat. I think, as you say, he had a stroke. Yeah, we get issues here where ambulances now, you know, they have to have someone stay with the ambulance to stop people rifling through to get medications. Because, yeah, you know. We went through a stage down here where people thought it was funny to throw bricks at fire engines and firemen when they was called out. So you'd get false alarms made and all of that lot. But thankfully that got put a stop to, because shouldn't have to happen, should it? Let's be honest with you. None of that should be going on. Because again, you know, if Ma and Pa Kettle, your nan and granddad are stuck in an upstairs room with their house on fire, you'll be glad to see a fireman, wouldn't you? So, yeah. Sophie says it's a thankless job, but I love it. Jeff says, yeah, the burnout for paramedics is very high. It is. I know a few. One of them's actually someone I've streamed with. And, yeah, the burnout rate is high. Very high stress job. Yeah. And again, people don't appreciate, or I say don't appreciate, that probably sounds a bit strong. I don't think a lot of folks see the dark side of the job, you know, the mental anguish, the stress, you know, especially going to an RTA or a house fire when there's little ones involved, you know, and I won't go too deep into that. But yeah, you know, that must be really deep to go to that sort of thing. And yeah, the psychological side of that must be so difficult to cope with. So yeah, you could understand it. And anyone in the services, the military, the Navy, anything like that, they've all been out in theatre and seen things on the battlefield that would, you know, turn our toes up, wouldn't it? Let's be honest with you. A good friend of mine, he was in the Gulf, and he said, at the end of the day, mate, the way I look at life now is, you know, if you've been shot at, nothing else matters. He said, that's my philosophy for the rest of my life. He said, because you can't unsee some of the things that have gone on. And he said, but that's how I get through it. Yeah, but he's got quite a good network there with the PTSD side of it, you know, because it's a huge problem, isn't it? Let's be honest. Put a little bit more of that in there. Again, just starting this off, it'll have other washes put on it. It's a little bit of grating, but some of the deeper rust I just want to pick up with this, and then I can go around with a bit of pigment powder, a bit of rust effect, and just put a little bit of 3D into a few areas. But then the rest of it is going to be pretty much concrete dust and things like that, because it's, you know, it's disassembling a demolished building almost that could have been earthquaked or whatever. So that's what it's up to. Let's just click that back in place, that little claw. And of course, once this is all finished, I shall then pose it permanently then. Glue all these little fittings in place so that they hold permanently. There it is under there, so let's clean that off. These little disposable brushes are an absolute godsend when it comes, pardon me, pigment powders and stuff of that ilk. Let's put you back in place. We can clip that in. But it's beginning to take shape, and I need to have a little think on the graffiti, because I want to give a nod to a couple of me mates with a few ears on the wall, that type of thing. But that's kind of coming along nicely. Like I say, a little bit of Barney rubble going on. Drop that arm down. And he's just picking off that. But I don't want to go too light on the edges, because it'll be too much. I'll go around with some blacking, do that. And then I can start with some of the dust and detritus. I'm still not sure what to do about these wheel edges. We have to put a little bit of rusting and chipping on there, or do I just coat it with some dust powder and that? Because I think if it's been going through concrete, it would have had a lot of dust going up through the tracks and wheels rather than rust. And I think that may be covered. Who knows? I might put a little bit on just to give it a bit of texture. Bit of a difference. Right, let's get rid of this stuff out of the way. And then we'll have a little scroll up through the chattykins, play a bit of catch up, and then we'll wrap up for the day then. So let's shove that out of the way. Bung that in there, cut. Boom. And let's have a lookykins at that. Oh dear, what have we got? PJ saying now I'm going to be getting on with the huge Serenity kit. All the big parts are going to be joined together for the first time, and I'm going to be watching the footy. We're at Brentford tomorrow. Yeah, I'm wondering whether we're going to be on the lookout for a new manager, to be honest with you. I'm getting the feeling that they want to make a change again. Is a management merry-go-round the right answer? I don't think so, but who am I? I'm not in charge of them. That was Bill making sure that I'm going to stand up. What else is going on there? There's Phil Harris. He was well liked. James is on about emergency services turning and attending him on screen. Captain Walker's name rings a bell, can't place it. Hugh says, not thankless, Sophie, it's respectful. That's for you, won't go there, my lass. Hugh says, who album, Cotter, Tommy. Yeah, rock opera. Good watch, that is, Tommy. Elton John's Boots, if it's the thing people remember most, and Tina Turner, I do believe, wasn't it? Was the Acid Queen. Bill says, for any of the services, military or civilian, you need a thick skin and a dark sense of humour. Yeah, barrack room humour, mate. And yeah, good band as well, like Roger Daltrey. He's got to be in his 80s now, isn't he, Roger Daltrey? I think they all are now, aren't they? Tommy was Captain Walker's son, the pinball wizard, Cotter. Yeah. 5 hours a week, says Sophie. May not be much, but I like to do my part. It's 5 hours more than a lot of us do, Sophie, so hold your head up high and be proud of it. Right, so that's the chat up to date. I think I'm going to wind up now and get myself off air so that you can go about your business and do your thing. I would like to say a big thanks for you for tolerating my solo stream tonight. Apologies if it wasn't up to the normal standard, but I try my best to keep it going and to keep a show on for you. Jamesy Boy says, Barney Rubble, where's Fred? He plays darts. Am I wrong? Right, am I wrong? But does Luke Littler look like Fred Flintstone? Just asking, because every time I see him come on screen, I want him to be wearing an orange T-shirt with black dots all over it. It's like, just reminds me of Fred Flintstone. Don't know why, just nice. I think it's the haircut. Hugh says, you do your bit, Sophie. We are grateful. PJ says, great solo gig, Cole Catcher and the Frolicers next time. You could have come and joined us, PJ. You only had to ping me, mate. You could have been on. I did say at the beginning that if someone wanted to come and join me, but yeah. Jason says, stay on. I would if I could, mate, but I'd try to limit myself to a couple of hours, mate, because I've got me metformin stuff to do and me injections, and I get a little bit too jittery if I'm on air for too long nowadays, mate. But thank you, Jason. I will try and do more solo stuffs. Keep an eye out, folks, and ring the bell. I know I say it a lot, but there might be times where I'm at the bench and I just flick the live button. Or I might put a thing up on the Facebook saying I'm going to go on air in 20 minutes if any of you are interested and do that. So there'll probably be opportunities for people to jump in with us and we could just do something. So there you go. Give it a thought. You know, you're all me mates. You all know where I am on Messenger, and I'll sit and do it. Jamesy Boy says, great Festa. Enjoyed it a lot. Till next one, nighty night. So, again, thanks to everyone that's been generous and done super chats. Really does mean a lot. It helps pay for this, and it just keeps me going. It keeps the hobby going and helps me just continue doing what I love. So, big thanks for that. Big thanks for keeping me company. Love you all to bits, and I see you on the next one, folks. Bye-bye.
Hey kid, Don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life.